students that you work with in your preschool? Are they from large families? Are their families English language learners? Are they from a specific country? Anything like that. Just think about for a minute. And now that you've thought about what your groups are from, can you tell me if any efforts that your classroom has made to be culturally relevant that you know of?
So we have one child who is learning English. So we have books in his home language that we keep in our library. So that way when we're reading stories, we read those to him as well. So then we read it in English as well so he can learn both, but still use his home language.
Nice. Okay. So now I'm going to start my presentation after we've just thought a little bit about cultural relevance. So we're going to cover today what it is, why it's important, and how to create a culturally relevant classroom. So first, what is it? So cultural relevance is a way of teaching a student in which they first experience academic success, develop and maintain cultural competence, and develop a critical consciousness. If you're wondering how that's possible, cultural relevance is all about equity, inclusion, and diversity efforts. And if you're wondering why does it matter to have a culturally relevant classroom, it does matter because all students benefit and all students are included in the learning environment. I have a great quote here from an article I read that says, in the past 2 decades, significant economic and political changes have occurred all across the globe. Consequently, cross-cultural contact is at an all-time high in human history. A society that has access to multilingual and multicultural resources is advantaged in its ability to play an important social and economic role in the world stage. So basically, it'll help even from preschool to high school. If kids are getting culturally relevant educations, it'll help ensure that they can achieve success in this globalized world that we live in. So here's some examples and ideas of how to bring cultural relevance into a preschool classroom. So first, I tried to include including students' native languages, like you discussed, in readings and in the resources provided. So this is Native Hawaiian for some students in Hawaii. And then also class time should include engaging all the students with activities centered around student experiences and allowing discussion between students. So students get to know one another and each other's perspectives. So in this picture, it's preschool students or probably like young kindergarten students all talking on the floor, sharing experiences, kind of having a share circle. Another idea continued would be to celebrate and discuss cultural differences, cultural experiences, and diversity as a whole. So even in preschoolers, a project like this one would increase cultural relevance and cultural inclusivity in the classroom. Also, use of the word "our" is good in this presentation, our world, because it is promoting making the classroom environment a place for all people and including everyone in the environment. So this is just this class presentation of where each student's from or like where their family might be from, and just giving students kind of a reference frame, even from a young age. So now it's time for your participation and application. So here's a picture of a classroom. And do you think this classroom is culturally relevant? Or if no, how would you change the classroom to make it more culturally relevant?
I don't think it's culturally relevant because there's no pictures or anything, or like there's no even like posters that you like that can represent kids of all different cultures, or books. I don't think you have to like really decorate to make it culturally relevant, but just like adding or if the handouts are in both languages, that would make it culturally relevant, or posters that like have like on the wall like the word in a different language and then also in the language that the school teaches in.
I totally agree. I think this classroom is really lacking in visual aids to cultural relevancy, and I also think I don't see any books or like a book corner, reading corner, where students will be able to read books from people of different perspectives. And our last activity will be about books. So which do you think are best for adding cultural inclusivity and relevance to your class out of these 3?
The last one.
The last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Would that be because you have Spanish English language learners in your classroom?
Yes, but I also think that the first one could too, just in the sense of like showing not a typical child, like all books like tend to have like children with like moms and dads and like blonde kids,
Mm-hmm.
blue eyes. So that's like a different, that can represent a child in the class as well, the first book. So I think that one could also, but the last one just because it's like dual language.
I definitely agree. Okay, so thank you for coming to my presentation. That is it. Now I'm going to give you a survey to just rate me on the relevance of the presentation, what points were clear and not clear, and then what I can change in the future. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.